What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another Defense Spotlight. You guys all know I love my Robo Girl. The EV2 is good stuff, and with all the talk about weapon manufacturers lately, I thought it was time to bring up proton beams. As in the current endgame state, proton beams are actually one of the strongest defenses in the game versus ground mobs. And we're going to run through the reasons why. Now, first off, you can use the proton beams from the beginning all the way up. However, their effectiveness will definitely increase the second you hit Chaos 4, as the power transfer shard is an absolute necessity. Now, the top three that I usually like to go to are power transfer, frosty beams, and defense crit damage. Now, defense crit damage, of course, drops in campaign mode, so that's pretty easy to come by. Power transfer, of course, drops in Chaos 4, and then frosty beams drops in Chaos 5. And when you put these three together, you do just have a whopping impact on their effectiveness. Now, the proton beams provide such a remarkable amount of DPS, remarkable amount of crowd control, plus the opportunity to just instantly take assassins off you. It kind of makes it a no-brainer to use, plus they have the coolness factor of being able to make your own designs. Now, a lot of people ask me why I usually do my protons like I do, in either a V or W shape with two separate alternating layers. And let me tell you why. Now, I used to do a lot of protons just straight up like this, and that does a fantastic job. However, if one mob, say like currently my EV2 is standing in two separate beams, it's two separate beams from the same defense. So although the additional nodes give you much better lane coverage, the beam is not actually going to hit me twice. It's only going to hit me once, as the whole thing combined is one tower. Now, when you throw that frosty beam shard in the mix, that means that once every 0.44 seconds, there's going to be a chance that I'm frozen as I'm here. Now, in this situation, if I'm standing here, I've got two separate beams that are hitting me at the same time, and it's doubling up that chance for that freeze to proc. And by alternating beams like this, you give yourself just a ridiculous amount of crowd control with the just constant freezes. Now, power transfer is a must-have once you get past Chaos 4, and here's why. We see down on my tooltip, the first node of a proton beam I put down costs 20 DU, which means all upgrades on this defense are based off of it being a 20 DU tower. Now, power transfer, of course, gets a little bit of a double dip, as since the nature of power transfer is increasing your defense crit damage by a percentage of the defensive power, when you upgrade a defense, you're already getting a set amount of crit damage. This is going to let us double dip on that and also get some more crit damage from the defense power that gets added on. Now, being a 20 DU tower, of course, the defense power scales with upgrades depending on how much the tower costs. So the 20 DU towers, the proton beams, explosive traps, the oil geysers, sand traps, they're all going to be based off of the exact same value each time you give them an upgrade. So in this situation with power transfer getting that double dip, you see I'm at 231,000 damage right now with 232,000 crit damage. Once I upgrade it, we're supposed to be getting the first upgrade is supposed to double the amount of damage we do. However, we see that it more than doubled. We went from 231k to 619k. So it really close to actually quadrupled the amount of damage per second we get out of our beams because of the crit damage scaling. Now, of course, that continues on up. So once you get proton beams all the way up to tier 5, they are just wrecking it out as it's attacking just under twice per second. So a little bit more than 2 times per second, each time giving an opportunity to freeze the enemy, and each time having a chance to crit for 3.46 million damage in this situation. And as you see, that medallion is actually nowhere near the max for Chaos 7. It's got several hundred defense power light of being close to the max. So, just crazy. I mean, 2.73 million damage per second from a CC trap that even if the freeze doesn't proc, you see all the way down at the bottom, slow 2, the proton beams naturally will slow the enemies. This combined gives you just an insanely effective defense in the current endgame. Now, as I said, you can use proton beams from the start. However, cyborgs are going to hit them, so you do have to be careful with their placement, and their effectiveness improves with shards available later in the game. Now, prior to Chaos 4, a Mark would actually be my preferred relic to choose. However, once you get power transfer into the mix, there is no comparison with the power that a medallion with power transfer will bring you. Now, with using proton beams while leveling up, you're going to want to follow the basic builder Ascension rule. And your first 20 points in the utility category, you're going to want to put directly into defense crit chance, as they are crucial. The first 20 points in your defense category, of course, you're going to go into defense speed. Now, you see we do have a proton beam slow, which is going to give us an additional 15% slow on top of their already inherent slow, which is pretty darn awesome. And I always suggest people put their next 15 points after defense crit is squared away into the proton beam slow. Now, from here, it's really up to you. If you have a relic that has defense health on it, generally, unless it's legendary and it has all 4 stats, it is not going to be as good as, say, a relic with defense power and defense speed, or a medallion with defense crit and defense speed. So unless you have a legendary, you're probably going to want to go into a little bit of proton beam health to keep those proton beams alive and keep you away from having to do any repairs to them mid-wave. So I always, after the defense speed is capped, I usually go into proton beam health at least a little ways to make sure you're not having to constantly repair or upgrade the protons mid-wave. After that, just go ahead, of course, like any other builder, and go full on into defense crit damage. Now, after we get a comfortable amount into our defense health, then I go ahead and switch over to the defense power and proton beam damage, before eventually going back over and maxing out the proton beam health. So hopefully this helps everyone out, helps them make their beams just extra juicy. And thank you very much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to the channel. There's going to be lots more defense and hero spotlights coming soon. Just need to get them done. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.